Happy New Year, guys. I hope you had the most incredible Christmas and New Year and you are ready to get into 2025 and make it the best year yet. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a brand new video, which is going to be all about a 2025 reset. And by reset, I don't mean the typical 75 hard and completely changing everything and trying to completely transform your life in one go. I don't mean anything like that. My approach is very sustainable, it's very maintainable, and it is based on things that you can do. So I'm just going to be taking you through everything that I'm going to be doing to kind of reset for the new year, including goal setting, including vision boarding, planning, resetting the house, things like that. Now I'm not going to be doing it all before the new year because I think that is a lot of pressure to put on yourself. We are here, there and everywhere at the minute. It's not New Year yet, it is the 30th. We are here, literally here, there and everywhere at the minute. So it would be completely unrealistic to kind of be like, right, I'm going to do everything ready for the first. But what I'm going to basically do is just do things over the next few days and then use next weekend then as my final kind of cut-off point, and that is going to be then when I'm ready to kind of enter a brand new full week. That's not to say obviously I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm already going back to the gym today, I've already been back to running, we're already, we've got our food shop planned and stuff like that. So it's just about kind of easing back in, because I think one of the worst things that people do is they just kind of go, right, on this day, I'm just going to change everything. I'm going to eat clean, I'm going to go for a run, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do this. And as soon as that one thing doesn't go to plan, then they're like, oh shit, now what do I do? And I think that's a big reason why I don't like the 75 hard, because as much as I think anyone moving and doing things is incredible, but the problem with that is because it is quite extreme for a lot of people, 2 45-minute workouts and stuff. If you're used to doing nothing, or you're only used to training 3 times a week, it's not going to be easy to recover from, it's not going to be easy to fit into your routine, and then a lot of people kind of knock their own confidence with it. So yeah, in this video, I'm just going to take you through everything that I'm doing to reset. And first up, we are starting with goal setting. I have just sat down to do my 2025 goal setting, and I thought I would just take you through a couple of different a few different questions that I'm kind of going to be going through myself and kind of asking myself in order to get super clear on what I want to achieve in 2025, because having goals I think is so important, but obviously goals without a plan and without action they're just dreams. So having goals is important, but then obviously you have to be able to kind of break down those goals into achievable targets and things like that in order to make them happen. So a couple of things, I'll pop this on the screen as well, but a couple of things that I'm kind of going through are, number one, what do I want? This year I think has been quite big for me in terms of actually discovering what I want and who I want to be and who I want to become. I think definitely I ended 2023 feeling what the fuck? I started 2024 literally thinking I just don't know what I want, I just don't know what I'm doing. I was very much feeling outside pressures, just not really being just not really knowing what I wanted essentially. And it just meant that I think especially for the first, I would say 6 months, I just didn't know what I wanted. I just didn't know who I wanted to be. I was just not being myself, and I was just I don't even know who I am anymore. So I think getting super clear on what I want and what works for me. And I think especially within the kind of owning a business, it's really, really easy to kind of compare and be oh well, they're doing this and they're doing this, and actually a lot of those things didn't align with me, which is why I wasn't happy with it. So yeah, really getting clear on kind of what I want to achieve. So for me, family is massive, free time and having downtime is massive, being flexible is absolutely huge, kind of reducing stress where possible is absolutely massive. I'll be honest, I don't have aspirations to be the richest person in the world, or to earn loads and loads of money, or to be have the biggest business or anything like that. I just don't. For me, I just want my business and my life to enable me to live a life that I want, so I can work hard and change lives and literally help everyone, but also then have my own time and be the person that I want to be. So yeah, so that is massive. And then who I want to become, so what do I want is kind of, those are the values and the morals behind what I want to achieve, which obviously I'm not going to share my exact goals, but who do I want to become? I think is just a better version of me. This time last year, I would have been I have no idea. Now I feel I'm actually me again. I think it's easier to kind of look at who I want to become. and like what it means to me as well. So I think when you have goals, it's really, really easy to kind of be like, oh, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve this. But actually, like, if there's not really any meaning behind it, you're not going to then give it 100%. And when you don't then give it 100%, you're not really like, there's no like there's not that incentive. And I think a lot of people do this and they kind of go, oh, I'll do this because someone else is doing it, or I'll do this, or I'll do this. And actually, like, if it doesn't mean that much to you, you're not going to get things done, you're not going to do it. And then what ends up happening then is you just knock your own confidence, because you tell yourself that you're not really worthy of your goals, you tell yourself that you can't really achieve them, you don't do the things that you need to achieve them, and it just doesn't really end well. And again, you just knock your own confidence, and life is too short. And then what do you need to do to create that version of you? So I think looking at, you know, the version of you that you think of, like I always think of, you know, in a year's time, in 6 months time, in a year's time, when you think of that version of you who has achieved all of her goals and she's absolutely smashing it, like, when, you know, when she's living the life that you want, like, what do you kind of, you know, what does she do? Like, what does she do day in, day out? What are her daily habits? What is she, you know, what are her weekly goals? Like, what are her routines? Like, look at all of these different things, because then when you think of that, you then know what you need to change. You know, are there daily habits you need to change? Are there routines you need to change? Are there mindset shifts that you need to make? Are there mindsets that you need to change? You know, maybe like the all or nothing mindset. Like, really, really look at kind of what you need to do to step into that best version of you. And how can you step into your higher self? So again, when you think of that version of you that's achieved all those goals, you know, that version of you who shows up, she does what she needs to do, she's living her dream life, she's got a dream job, or, you know, she's got the dream body, or she's got, you know, the dream relationship with food. Like, when you think of that version of you, you know, how does she show up? How does she act? You know, how does she think? How does she talk? How does she walk? How does she speak? Like, literally think of all these things, because when you can get so clear on that, you're going to then be able to step into that version of you whenever, you know, things are getting a little bit difficult. And the more that you step into that version of you, the more that you create that version of you. You know, for example, something, you know, a mindset shift that kind of I've had to make is that working harder and more stress does not mean more success. Like, that has been a big mindset shift that I've had to move away from, and it has been one of the best mindset shifts I've ever made. But the future version of me, like, that's something that I need to continue to work on. And then also think of like long-term, short-term and medium-term. So whenever you think of goals, I try not to think of it as like an end point. Like, don't, if you pin pressure on it in terms of like, when I get to this point, I'm going to be this, I'm going to have this, it just puts unnecessary pressure on it. I would think, you know, of your whole life is a journey, and there are going to be milestones along the way, and that is kind of what we're looking at, not an end destination. And when you think of like long-term, you know, maybe it's a business, maybe it's career, maybe it's something within your life. Like, when you think of long-term, it's amazing having long-term goals, but you also want to break that down into more medium-term goals and then shorter-term goals, because when you break down those goals, you can then also break down the steps that are needed to get there, whether that be routines, habits, mindsets, anything at all. So you've got your long-term goal, then you've got those more medium-term, and then you've got those more shorter-term. And within those categories, then you have got things that you are going to be able to kind of tick off that are going to get you to, you know, those goals. So for example, short-term, if it is a goal of yours, let's say a goal of mine, more medium term, because it's in 6 months, is to run a sub 2 hour half marathon. So for me, like, a short term goal could be to complete X amount of runs per week, or to hit a certain pace in a run, or do you know what I mean? Like, things like that. So again, you're just breaking it down. Or, you know, if a short term goal of mine is to consistently run 3 times a week, and, you know, maybe follow a specific plan, that's going to get me a lot closer to that medium-term goal. So again, it's just about looking at how they all link together. Like, it's really important that your goals, not every single one has to have short, medium and long term, but it's really important that they all kind of link together, because it's going to make your life so much easier. And then habits in versus habits out. So looking at what habits do you need to bring in and what habits do you need to kick out in order to create that best version of yourself and get to that higher self version of you and achieve all of those goals. So for example, a habit that I'm taking out, which is something that I've been trying to work on, is like not having my phone after like 8 p.m, like just not going on it. It was something I got really good at, and then it kind of slipped a little bit. So that's something I want to bring back. So I want to get, you know, kick out going on my phone after 8 p.m. and bring in kind of filling in that time with something more fulfilling, because for me, it's going to be a way to wind down. It's going to be less stress. It's going to obviously affect my hormones positively. It's going to hopefully have a good impact on my sleep, and all of those things then are going to create a better version of me and get me closer to my goals. So again, it's just really important to kind of have a good think about what you want to achieve. And when you're setting goals, set those goals, set super specific goals, like be so specific, but also Don't be unrealistic in terms of putting insane pressure on yourself and then just feeling like, oh, I can't do this and giving up. But also think big. Like, you are capable of absolutely anything that you want to achieve. So just think big. Like, just think big. And as long as you've got an action plan, you will get that. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It doesn't matter how quickly or, you know, not quickly you're doing it. Like, what matters is you. We are back in the exact same spot. But today we are talking about planning and prepping, because goals without planning mean no action. Like, if you don't plan, you can't put those goals into action. And if you don't put those goals into action, they are literally just dreams. But the biggest mistake that most people make when they come to like planning is they'll overshoot. So they'll kind of go, right, I'm going to do everything at once. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to do my steps. I'm going to do my nutrition. I'm going to do my water, my sleep, absolutely everything. And which is fine, but they'll try and make the biggest changes to all of these areas. And actually it just doesn't work. So again, I'll pop this on the screen, but this is kind of something that I like have just kind of run through when I was kind of writing out like what I tend to do. So for example, obviously once you've set your big 2025 goals, like that is all amazing, but having end of year goals is not going to be enough to kind of keep you going. And also, unless we kind of reflect on those goals as we go along, they don't really mean anything. So we have to make sure that we are doing things daily, weekly and monthly that are going to get us closer to those goals. So the first thing I would kind of look at is your monthly goals. Now this can be like milestones rather than end goals. So for example, if an end goal of yours, just as like a running example, if an end goal of yours is to run half marathon by the end of the year, maybe you could make that you know, a month, split that into monthly goals. So by the end of January, maybe you want to be able to run X amount. Maybe by, you know, June, you want to be able to run a 10k or run a 10k in a certain amount of time. Like, just break it down so that you have those more kind of like those closer, more tangible goals as well. Because again, end of year goals are amazing, but they can seem so far away sometimes that is just not, like, they can just seem so far out of reach. Whereas actually when we break it down and we focus on those smaller goals, by focusing on those smaller goals and hitting them, we're going to be achieving those big goals without even like feeling the pressure and without even really realizing. Then obviously once you've got your monthly goals, you can split that into your weekly goals. So for again, using that running example, you know, if it is a goal of yours to run X amount of distance or X time or whatever, can it then be a weekly goal to run X amount of times, like generally? So for example, you know, could it be a goal of yours to run twice a week, or go to the gym twice a week, or, you know, track your calories like, you know, 2 days out of the week? Like, again, obviously that's going to be completely personal to you, but again, just break it down. And the more kind of, you don't want like an overwhelming amount of goals, but you want to have enough that you can kind of tick it off and be like, yes, I've done this, and build your own confidence as you're doing it. Because again, then once you've ticked off those runs, or you've ticked off that calorie counting, or you've ticked off, you know, those workouts and stuff, you're ticking that box, and mentally you're ticking that box that I can work on me. Like, you're building your own confidence, and that is ultimately what is so important. And you're also building that consistency as well. And then break that down into daily. Now you can break it down into daily, but also daily will have its own kind of like habits as well. But you are a result of your daily habits. Like, your goals and your targets will stop or will start with your daily habits. Because again, you can have all these big, you know, amazing, incredible goals, but actually the things that are going to get you there are the things that you do day in, day out. And the things you do day in, day out are you as a person. So if your daily habits do not align with your goals, you're not going to achieve your goals. Like, it's as simple as that. So for example, you know, this is about looking at, you know, things like your step count, your sleep, your stress management, your water intake, your nutrition intake, you know, your movement in the day, like, you know, the routines that you have, you know, whether that be morning or evening. And this is not to say you need a big like wacky routine, but the things that you do, you know, are you waking up as necessary and maybe going straight on your phone? You know, is that kind of raising your stress levels? Is that making you, you know, not very productive? Like, again, it's just about looking at kind of what works for you. And with the daily habits, start small. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're looking at making a change, making a big change is one of the worst things that you can do, because you're going to do it for maybe a week or two while motivation is high. And as soon as that motivation drops or something slips, you're just not going to do it anymore. And then you're telling yourself again that you can't do it, and you're reinforcing this I can't do it belief. And actually, we don't want to do that. We want to focus on these small changes that you can tick every single day, so that you are reinforcing this I absolutely can do this belief. You know, for example, if you're looking at increasing your steps, start by increasing by 500 to 1,000 per day. Once that becomes more natural, build up from there. If you're suddenly trying to jump 4,000 steps a day, it's just not going to happen. And it is like the seemingly insignificant changes that add up to the biggest of results, I promise you. If you, for example, increased your steps by 500 per day, plus you added a protein source to each meal, plus you drank, you know, a litre more water per day, plus you had more of an evening routine so that you got more, you know, sleep or better quality sleep, your life would change dramatically. Like, I'm not even joking. The way that you feel, the way that you show up, the way that you are, like everything would change so dramatically. And that's not from making any big changes. That is just from making those small changes and being consistent with them. It's as simple as that. 1% better each day adds up to massive results. But obviously, how do we do that? Like, how do we do that? And that comes into planning. Now, obviously, I've done a whole other video on planning. So if you are someone who like wants to know more about planning, like definitely go and have a little look at that, because it's definitely helpful. But I generally look at time blocking my week. So like, I will look at what things do I need to do each day and how can I physically put that into my week. So for example, you know, I'll always put in my work, and then I'll put in my workouts, and then I'll put in my steps. These are like my non-negotiable. And then outside of that, then I'll do, you know, whatever. Like, I know what time then I've got for other things, maybe smaller things. So again, then each week I will go through and I'll be like, right, Monday, this is the list of what I've got to do. This is where it's all going to happen with timings. Because then what you can do each day is, you know, right, today, this is how my day looks. And then you can go through that day and you can plan, you know, your to-do list. You can write what you need to do. You can time block it. But again, you're just staying in control. Like, you know, when you've got a to-do list and it just feels really overwhelming and it's like, oh my God, where do I even start? This literally gets rid of that, because you can literally look at it and be like, right, I've got 2 hours here. This is what I'm going to do in this 2 hours. I've got 2 hours here. Right, this is what I'm going to do in this 2 hours. And again, then you can put things into those blocks. Like, you don't have to physically obviously block every single little thing, but you can put things into those blocks. So you can be like, right, I'm going to spend 2 hours on, let's say, admin. So rather than it then being like, right, I've got emails and I've got, you know, messages and I've got this and I've got this, and it feeling really overwhelming. And let's be honest, when it feels overwhelming, you're probably going to procrastinate. You can literally go, right, I've got 2 hours to do my admin. Let's knuckle down and do it. And ultimately, a task will take as long as you give it. If you give yourself 2 hours to clean your house, you will take 2 hours. If you give yourself an hour, you'll take an hour. So again, it's just about then really looking at, obviously, you're not going to create the perfect routine the first time. You're not. It will take months of you planning your week, you know, reflecting on it at the end of the week, moving things around, you know, to see what works best for you, and just continuing to do that. Like, it will take a couple of months for you to find a routine that really, really works for you. But once you've nailed that, oh my God, your life is going to get so much easier. So much easier. And it just helps to really take away any overwhelm, because a lot of the time we feel like, oh my God, I've got no time to do things. And actually, when you write them down with how long the task takes, you don't procrastinate, you don't catastrophize, you can fit everything in. Like, you absolutely can. Like, that's not always to say it's going to be a breeze, but you can fit it in. So if you are not someone who is currently planning, you need to start, basically. If you have goals to hit and you are not planning, you will not hit those goals. It is as simple as that. And again, it really has to take away the overwhelm, because big goals can seem so far away that it's not really going to keep you motivated. But when you break that down into monthly, weekly and daily goals or daily habits, it's just going to happen. The more that you do them, the more consistently you do them, it's just going to happen. And that is the beauty of planning. Guys, so obviously this video is all about kind of like goal setting and New Year resets, and something that I don't know if I've mentioned, but I thought I'd just quickly mention. The biggest thing that I think people need to kind of take on board is that you have to make it work for you, and you have to make it work for your lifestyle, and easing into things is the best thing to do. So many people will be like, well, what's the point in that? What's the point in 500 more steps? What's the point in a little bit more protein? What's the point in, like, you know, I don't know, an extra half an hour of sleep? Like, that's not going to make a difference. But actually, if you do that in every single area of your life and you build those foundations and then you build on them, you will change your whole life. Like, it is as simple as that, because people will overshoot and they'll try and have these massive expectations and they'll try and change everything, and it's just not sustainable, and they just fall off within like a couple of weeks, and then you're not getting anywhere. It's better to make small changes forever than to make big changes that last 2 weeks. Like, it's as simple as that. So like, for me, for this new year, to be honest, because I'm already in a routine where I pretty much do everything that I want to do, my kind of New Year goals are more so like business based. It's more so kind of, you know, my kind of confidence around certain things and pushing out and, you know, branching out into different areas and, you know, doing kind of different things and just getting on top of certain things as well is a big one for me. In terms of like fitness, I don't have any like specific goals as such. I have a half marathon goal, which I think I've said about. I want to get sub 2 hour. Other than that, I think I want to be able to squat 100 kg by the end of the year. But in terms of like my routines with fitness, that's not really going to change. The only thing that I'm changing is I'm going to be running twice a week instead of once a week. That's like a big thing that I really want to do. But yeah, in terms of that, like, not much is changing for me because I'm in a position where like I live the lifestyle that I want, if that makes sense. You know, like a lot of people kind of get to the new year and be like, right, this is the change I need to make and this is what I need to make. And I just don't get that, because when I did decide to make a change, like I made that change and now I'm in this position, which is not like a kind of bragging thing at all. I think it is just literally like saying to you, if you want to make a change, like you absolutely can, and it doesn't have to be a new year thing. And I've had so many of my clients message me being like, oh my god, this is the first year, like I don't feel like I need to change me or like change anything, I literally just need to get back into routine. And like that is literally what it's all about. Yeah, for me right now, like I'm not really changing things as such. I have used I know I've spoken about it before, but like I have used or I'm using the productivity method planner. So it's this planner here, it's the online one. Obviously I'm not going to go through my exact specific goals because they are my goals, but the way that this one works is it's split into personal development, finances, attitude and mindset, relationships, career and business, and health. And you've obviously got like those 6 sections or subsections, and then obviously within that then I've pretty much like 3 to 4 goals for most things. Some of these goals are more generic, for example like spending more time with like the people like family and friends. Like that one is a lot more generic, or more quality time. That one is a lot more kind of generic, but I kind of know how I'll be measuring that and things like that. And then I've got more specific ones then, which are like no phone after 8 p.m. Like that one is very specific, like there's no two ways about that. So again, the goals that I set were kind of like, especially like career and business and finance, were kind of like, they're goals that I want to obviously achieve. And then with like the personal development, the attitude and mindset, obviously those goals are kind of help me get closer to those goals as well. So they all kind of like link in together. And what I've also done is I've done like a habits in versus habits out, which I know I spoke about when I went through like the goal setting. But yeah, I've done for me like what habits I want to bring in and what habits I want to bring out. And to be honest, there's not that many habits I'm bringing in because I already kind of like get my sleep in, already get morning walks in, like I already kind of drink my water and hit my steps. So it's more so just kind of being more consistent with them and kind of hitting them more so like 95% of the time, maybe, rather than like 85. And like reading a chapter in the morning. To be honest, the reading a chapter in the morning and the morning walks are something that I brought in like December, and I absolutely loved it. So obviously I'd already started that, I'm just carrying them on. And then like habits out are like going on my phone 30 minutes after waking up, scrolling after 8 p.m, like doom scrolling. And then I've basically done like a roundup of my goals of like the things that I want to achieve. So obviously I've got the specific goals and then kind of like a roundup of like what they are. And then I've done like how as well. So for example, me, like for a lot of my goals, like how is gonna be daily habit reminders. So whether that be like on my phone, whether it be when I'm like, because I always write a to-do list, I always use the planner. So planning things in there and like writing habits out in there. Putting my phone on do not disturb and putting it on sleep mode as well. Like that's obviously going to help me achieve a lot of things, whether that be working more productively, whether that be no phone after 8 p.m, things like that as well. Stepping into my higher self is one of them. So I think a lot of the time, like I hold myself back because I'm like, like what if this, like I'll be completely honest, like I do it a lot. So for me, like a big thing is kind of stepping into that like highest version of me, like that version of me that I think of when I think of the person who's achieved all those goals, like really just stepping into her and actually being like, let's just do this. So that's a big one. Planning and time blocking my week is something I already do, but just continuing to work on that and just continuing to kind of refine that to get the routine that I want. And then yeah, I've got a couple of business ones as well. But for me, that was kind of like how I planned out this month. So obviously I went through like my yearly goals, obviously like my goals for 2025, again, was still splitting through those same subsections, and I still did like habits in, habits out, like certain kind of like aspirations of mine as well. And then I basically went through that and then went through like January, what do I want to achieve, and kind of breaking them down. So like I spoke about in the like the planning side of things, like when you've got yearly goals, like some of my yearly goals are, you know, probably quite far away. So I have to break them into monthly goals, break them down into weekly things, and then also kind of implement daily habits to help me get closer to them. And then by doing those things, for example, running a 2-hour sub-half marathon, if I run twice a week, you know, aiming for progression, aiming for different types of runs, that's obviously my weekly goal. My monthly goal then is to obviously get a certain amount of runs in, which I will automatically achieve if I hit my weekly goal. And then obviously by doing that then, because obviously I'm going to be following a plan to hit that sub 2 hour, I'm already then going to hit my 2025 goal. And the only thing I'm really focusing on is the weekly goal. So it's kind of like everything links in quite nicely together, and I think that's so important because it makes such a big difference. Guys, I don't think I've shared this. This is an interruption to the video, but it's a very welcome interruption to the video because my mum got a new puppy the other day. And is he not the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life? I just love him so much. He just has literally stolen my heart. Oh. So yeah, that is my kind of 2025 goals, what I am doing, which is basically just continuing kind of what I'm already doing, but focusing on consistency. Obviously like easing into the new year. So for example, now it's Friday the 3rd. I'm gonna get in a workout this afternoon. I did a run yesterday, and then next week then I'll kind of get back into like normal programming and like normal sessions. So the only kind of thing I've got left to do now is to create a vision board. Now I know that vision boarding is a little bit like, people have an opinion of it, and some people love it, some people, you know, aren't really that fussed. I personally really like it because I find it so motivating to like see, to kind of like see the vision, if that makes sense. And I've definitely learned a lot since I did my last vision board, so there's a lot of things I want to change. So I'm gonna do that now, and I'm gonna bring you along with me. So with vision boarding, I don't think it's like, it's not some sort of magic thing or anything like that. Like it literally is just like, I suppose it's just that kind of reminder of like what you're working towards constantly, and almost like a manifestation side of things as well. Like obviously you still have to physically put in the work, but yeah, my memory card is about to run out, so what I'm going to do is crack on with my vision board, and then I shall show you once it is done. Oh my god, she is done, and she is looking cute. It literally just taken me 10 saves and moving things around to fit it onto the screen, but we've got it. So I'm going to quickly run you through it. So basically this one here, I'm not going to run you through all of them, but some of them. This one here is, I basically really want to be consistent with my YouTube vlogs once a week. This one here is, I have some big business plans coming. So that is that one. Obviously there's a lot of quotes, like I absolutely love a quote. This one here, like I'm really trying to kind of, oh, you can't really see it 'cause of all these. Let me delete them. Okay, we're back. Oh my god, how good does it look as a wallpaper? Oh, wow. I am literally obsessed. But yes, I was telling you about each one. So like I said, there's a lot of like quotes and stuff because I love a quote. This one here is, I just want to travel more. Like I just really want to see the world, I want to travel more. This one here is just a little, not going to go like fully into it, but that one there is more so just kind of like what I want to achieve. Like, yeah, I won't go into that one too much. I want to do a high rocks, I want to do a sub 2 hour half marathon, want to spend more like quality time with like my favorite people. Yeah, just kind of like manifesting a little bit of everything, and want to just be super consistent with the gym, but also have that kind of like balance as well. So yeah, that is pretty much like a roundup of my vision board. I love her, she is so cute. But yeah, like I said, vision boarding is not like, obviously it's not like it's not a big secret. It's not just going to make those things happen, but I think it just is having that reminder and actually visualizing what you want as well that makes such a big difference. Yeah, it's more so just to kind of like have that reminder and have that visualization of like what you want to achieve, and I think that sometimes that can just help you like show up better and do the things that you know that you need to do in order to obviously create that change. So yeah, that is my vision board. Tomorrow on the agenda as part of the reset is resetting the house. So tomorrow these decks are going down, we're going to be resetting, going to be having a good old clean, and yeah, that just again to me is just another like, it has to be done in the new year. But what I quite like about this year is obviously the year started on like a Wednesday, so I went back to work obviously Thursday, it's Friday today. So it's kind of like we've got a few days to like dip our feet in, like get back into little things, but then like properly hit the ground running from Monday, which is quite nice. Obviously you don't have to wait till Monday, but I just quite like the like, you've got a few days to get back into it, sort everything out, rather than like feeling like you need to have that like pressure in between Christmas and New Year to like get everything done. Like I fully just switched off between that time, and it was so lovely. Right then, the next step of the reset is to reset the house. I think this might be my favourite step, because as much as I love the decorations and I love having them up, I also love it when you take it down and the house just feels fresh and gorgeous. So that is today's plan. So currently I've got all the boxes out of the loft. I've started clearing all stuff already, like I've taken all these bits off, so I just need to wrap all of them up. And then the tree is coming down. I've already taken off all the throws, all the bedding and everything, and all that has been washed, or it is in the washing machine now. So yeah, I'm excited to just have a fresh house again. But I'm not gonna bore you by taking you through the whole debacle because I've got all this to sort. All this needs to go into bags. It all needs to be wrapped so that it doesn't obviously smash on the way up. And yeah, that is pretty much that. So let's do a little transition. So yeah, this is literally my favourite step because I feel like this just really is that kind of like Christmas is over, it's a new year, it's a fresh start. Like we're gonna obviously take all the decks down and then we're gonna have like a really good deep clean as well, which as much as I don't actually mind cleaning, I'll be honest, I really don't mind cleaning. But yeah, as much as it's not the best thing in the world, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, it is worth it once it's done. So yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so this tree will be gone in 3, 2. Oh my god, it's so cozy. And that's it guys, the decks are down. The decks are down and the house is reset. We have had the biggest deep clean, like literally the biggest deep clean. When I tell you I have cleaned every single inch of this house. The blankets, the cushions, the bedding, every single thing has been cleaned and it feels so, so good. And that's pretty much my 2025 reset complete, in fairness. I definitely want to do my wardrobe. My plan is to do my wardrobe as in sort it all out, get rid of a load of stuff, rearrange it. I was gonna do it in this vlog, but I just haven't had the time, so I'll do it in a separate one. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I've got my 2025 goals mapped out. I've got plans of actions. I've got my monthly goals. Obviously my weekly kind of like goals and stuff I will set each week. I've got next week planned out. I've got the house has been reset. The food shop's been ordered. Like everything is back to normal and yeah, it just feels really, really good. So I'm gonna wrap this video up here, but I hope you've had the absolute best start to 2025. And I hope that whatever reset you're doing, if you're doing one, is going fabulously. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.